is the way. This is the way.
There has been no greater character development in Bad Batch than Crosshair, and we get to see his arc come full circle in this amazing episode. So let's dive into the Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 12, titled The Outpost. Before we get into it, if you're a fan of our videos, please like our content and subscribe to the channel. It really does help us out and gives us the opportunity to create more content for you. This episode is all about the end to the clone troopers as the Empire begins to phase them out. We open up on Coruscant as we see the once clone trooper base now occupied by the new stormtroopers. A few clone troopers are being escorted off base and they are complaining about their forced retirement. We finally get to see Crosshair again after 10 episodes, and we see that he is assigned to a mission and he meets up with a green officer, Lieutenant Nolan, who right off the bat conveys his feelings for clones as he notes after seeing the clones assigned to his mission that he doesn't like using second-hand equipment. What a jerk! But that's what the Empire is becoming. Nolan has informed Crosshair that the unit has been reassigned to the Imperial Depot on Barton 4, where local insurgents have been attacking the depot and they have to protect the cargo until it can be transported off-world at the end of the week. So the unit lands on Barton 4 and we meet up with a few surviving clones, Clone Commander Mayday, Hex, and Veach. Mayday remarks that he expected them 36 rotations ago. I like how the clone troopers' gear is worn down, showing that they have been holding out for a long time on their own. This story reminded me so much of Band of Brothers Episode 8, The Last Patrol. A bunch of soldiers at the end of the war just trying to survive at this point, all ragged and worn down, and a new officer comes in and tries to tell them what to do, and it ruffles some feathers. Mayday also has the helmets of his fallen clone troopers arranged around some containers, showing how many have perished trying to guard the cargo. This reminded me of the series finale Clone Wars when Ahsoka and Rex buried all the clone troopers and had their helmets on their graves. The new lieutenant berates Mayday and that his failings will be dealt with later. Mayday retorts by asking Nolan how many missions has he commanded, which the lieutenant doesn't have a response to, showing his lack of experience. This was a very true experience if you've ever served in the military. A new officer gets assigned to a post where the senior enlisted has much more experience. Mayday strikes up a conversation with Crosshair and immediately seems to form a connection with him as they commiserate about how unbearable Nolan is. They exchange names and Mayday takes it upon himself to show Crosshair around. While they are outside, the base gets attacked by raiders that blow up the shuttle and kill Hex and Veach. Crosshair manages to shoot one of the raiders and tracks him to a cave. Mayday follows and they both learn that the raiders are using this cave to infiltrate the depot. They get back to base and Mayday pays his respects to his fallen troopers by putting their helmets alongside the other fallen troopers. Then Lieutenant Nolan once again confronts them and tells them it's their responsibility to retrieve the stolen cargo and orders Crosshair and Mayday to pursue all by themselves. So without backup, they go back to the cave and track the raider who they find has died in the cave. Mayday tells Crosshair he doesn't know what bothers him more, that the raider is wearing the armor of his fallen clone troopers or that his fellow raiders left him behind. Crosshair responds by saying that the raider is just dead weight and there's no point in coming back for him. Then Mayday remarks, "Remind me not to die on your watch." As they resume the mission, Crosshair actually steps on a mine and Mayday has to stop and help him. While he does so, he asks Crosshair what unit he's from, and Crosshair eventually tells him he is from Clone Force 99 and that they're all gone. They eventually find the raiders and their base and attack them. Mayday and Crosshair end up being victorious and the cargo ends up breaking apart in the snow, and we find out that the cargo being guarded was the new stormtrooper armor for the Imperial military. This upsets Mayday and he says they were good soldiers, they followed orders, but now they're being thrown aside. It was brilliant in this episode how they showed all the things Crosshair stood behind, as he has remarked throughout the series that good soldiers follow orders, only to end up seeing the clone troopers, having done their duty, now being discarded like trash. Then there's the avalanche, which was caused by the fighting, and Mayday pushes Crosshair behind a rock, which essentially saves his life. Crosshair digs out Mayday, who is badly hurt, and even though Mayday tells Crosshair to leave him, Crosshair carries him anyways, which is a big change for Crosshair. They make it back to base and we see a bunch of new stormtroopers loading up the cargo. Crosshair pleads for Lieutenant Nolan to get medical help for Mayday, who is dying, but Nolan tells him that would be a waste of resources, and as Mayday dies, Nolan remarks that he did his duty as a soldier of the Empire. With his last bit of energy, Crosshair stands up and shoots the lieutenant before passing out from exhaustion. Then we cut to Crosshair waking up in an operating chamber where Emery Carr is working over him. Carr tells him the doctor will see him soon and injects him him with something that puts him to sleep. Then Carr remarks that if he cooperates, he may survive. So he's clearly on Mount Tantus, and it seems like all roads are leading to the finale taking place on Mount Tantus, as Dr. Royce Hemlock is after Omega, and he's clearly the doctor that will be visiting Crosshair soon. Can you imagine if we get an all-out battle on Mount Tantus with all the Zillo beasts running around, clone troopers fighting off stormtroopers, and Bad Batch trying to save Omega? That would be an awesome way to end this season. This episode had an amazing depth and gave us a glimpse of how the Empire is phasing out the clones and treating them as disposable commodities. It gave us rich characters and set Crosshair on a path to growing disillusion with the Empire as he sees how the clones are being replaced and how. This is definitely one of the best episodes of the Bad Batch that we've gotten so far, so for my rating, I gotta give this one a 10 out of 10, and this has been a stellar week for Star Wars content. So there you go, that's my breakdown and review of Bad Batch Season 2, Episode 12, The Outpost. So thanks for joining me today on Fatherly Fandom, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And from our families to yours, have a good one, and may the Force be with you.